Good afternoon. It is April 7th, 2022, and you'll see on my chart I don't have arrows on here. It's because I had like 4 hours of analysis and I accidentally X'd out of my chart. So I'm just going to go through this and mark trades as I see them now. I'll probably remember ones I marked before. So this might be a long video. Apologies if that inconveniences anyone. Really, I don't care, but I said that anyway. Apologies. I think this was this at 5? Yeah, this is definitely yeah, that's a good failed second entry long right there. That's a really nice setup. That appears to be off of a short-term trend channel, and you even might mark it from here. And yeah, it looks pretty darn good to me. We'll call that the support. And you can see that fizzles out, and this looks like a double test right here. This is definitely going to be a long video, but there's no setup to go long there. That just seems too risky to me, especially when we haven't tested these lows. That rockets up, and we come back here. This is just, I don't think you can take this. Looks like, yeah, it looks like to me, I was going to say it looks like an overshoot right there. But maybe this is the top of the channel. And then we get a break here and a leg up. So I would be probably staying out, because you can see this is the midline. You can see it finds support. That looks like a measured move right there, like very close to equal sides of that midline. Yeah, you can see that. And that's market geometry right there. You can see this one right here, this failure. I like this. It is a bit congestive. Do I mark this green or red? I'm going to have to go with green because of the congestion. You can see all that overlap. But that's clearly a failed second entry long. And that's a nice leg down, so you might expect another leg down, and that's probably another measured move right there. Very close. Very close. Comes up short, though, and you get a first entry, failed second entry long. And now, I mean, look, now it's just clear. We're going back and forth, so you can't just be taking all these, all these entries, these failures, when we don't know if they're failing. This one looks pretty tempting right here. But we haven't made a new high. This looks like a channel up to me, and we haven't made a new high. So then when we do make a new high, you might wait for like a failure. That one doesn't look good, that failure. So we do have this blue channel, and I think that pink channel is valid too. So 2 channels you could have been playing here. You get a nice second entry right there. Second entry short. And I like this. I mean, let's see. Does that make a new high? So we make a new high right here. But it's just like 2 ticks probably. And you're going into that opening price level. But look how much room there is to these lows. I think you got to take that trade. Nothing here. This is too choppy. And we make this new. Oh, we bounce off the midline. Okay, this is the midline of the overnight highs and lows. You can see, and we come up, test that again. although we were consistently holding across this line, we didn't make it to the low side or the high side, but we're making lower highs pretty consistently. Yes, this is a new high right here, but then we sell off very, very, very well, if you will. I don't know how else to put that. It just looks like it's a downtrend. Let's see if the midline looks good when we go like that. I mean, yeah, you can argue for, like, look at that. A lot of people probably played that right there. And that, at this point, where I'm in my chart, that looks like a pretty valid midline. So there's so many ways to play it. You know, a lot of people probably looked at this as a range, so you can see a range in between the opening price and the midline of the overnight high. So when it tests this up here, you might take that. It looks like a failed breakout. So you can argue for a lot of these, and this one would have gotten you a big time move. Let's just put that. I mean, that's very bearish. Very bearish. That signal bar. And it looks like a failed breakout. You might have taken one of these too. I was looking at this one, but the signal bar wasn't good. If it closed above the EMA, I probably would have marked that aggressive. But look, we break down, test these overnight lows. So you might consider this one too. That's very aggressive though. This is just congestion far away from the EMA. And then it breaks up into this congestive area. It forms like, this is just such micro congestion, you can't take anything in there. You can see clearly one leg up, two legs up. And so you do get a failure right here. I just don't like, I think that's too, here's a doji, we're all inside that, so I'm going to mark that as aggressive. I don't like that too much. I like this one better, to be completely honest. But like, it's just tough because this congestion, we just came out of that. But if you're patient, this is a trap too. Okay, so I got trapped right here. I took a second entry long right here. If you didn't take that, I was thinking in my head too, I'm like, look at all this congestion, these dojis. Maybe don't take this because the signal bar is not great. And once we got a great signal bar, that's when it fell. So I think if you're reading this right, I think this is a good trap to go short on, although it is a third entry. Second entry doesn't set up. Nothing setting up here. What would have kept you out of this failed second entry long right here is you're going into the lows of the day. You get a second entry long right here, but it's a counter trend. I don't think you want to take that at this point. Even though that looks, this very much looks like it could be off a trend channel. Really, I'm looking like that. So, tempting, sure. This one, so at this point, because our trend lines are confirmed, I do believe you got to take this one. But then again, it is congestion. So I'm going to mark that green. That's a new high, so you get, look at that failure. This is a new high, first entry, failed second entry long, and I don't think you would have scalped out there. That's why you got to be careful on these range days. So it looks like this is where we reverse, and you get a first entry, failed second entry up here. Too far from the EMA, in my opinion. Maybe another chart, it's would have set up right here. If you get a signal bar like that, and it's right here, yeah, I'm take that for sure. And you can see there's probably a short-term channel right here. Probably like that. Overshoot leads to a break. couple moves up. This is all too far from the EMA. And this looks like a leg of correction. So it's probably a better idea, instead of going short in here, to wait until it fails. We get a break, move to a new low, and unfortunately no setup for a failed. Oh wait, this is. Okay, so this is first, failed second entry. So I'm going to mark this blue then, because this is a second entry long. Oh wait, no. Technically this ticks up. I'm going to mark this though. After this strong move up. This is a failed second entry short. And it looks like a second entry long, although the signal bar isn't great for a second entry long. But I am going to mark that blue because I do like that. Failed second entry short. And you can see we find some support at this level. Someone might have, I mean, this is just, it's just testing this price level, so I don't think you can take that. Here you get a first entry, second entry right here. So this is a little, it's below the EMA, so you might instead hop in on this one. I like this. We're in an uptrend, so when we bounce here a third and fourth time, that signal bar is good for a second entry long, but it's below the EMA. You might take that. It's off the key entry point, and you could have had that because I drew it off these highs. That's how I found this one. So you could have had that trend line, and then when you get a failed second entry short off this short-term trend line, you got to just about take that, and that's probably the best move of the day. I've been leaving my runners at 4 points, and that's really good for my style. But some people, they can hold on to runners, and if you did, this is probably the move of the day. And even if you just kept it until you broke out of this channel, you would have probably had 20 points. There's a, actually this is a second entry. If that was off the, I don't think that's off the trend channel. You might consider that though. You get a first failed second entry short right here, going into the highs. In this strong up move, you might consider that. On any other day, probably not. And here's a failed second entry short, but or failed second entry long, but I'm not going long, or short, excuse me. I'm not going short. Look, it pops right back up. So failed second entry long right here. I like that. And there's some dojis in there, so I'm going to mark that green. This is a new low. First entry, failed second entry. Great signal bar. Take that. Take that. So that's what I saw for today. Pretty good trends, or at least the trend up was phenomenal. So hope everyone had a great day. I'll be back tomorrow.